Hi, welcome to English in the Modern Office again. Welcome to the new part, which is meetings. Lesson 5 in your schedule. Please turn to the correct documents and then we can begin. Okay, this week we're going to go through the answers, today we're going to go through the answers that you should have found in this week's lesson regarding meetings, part 1. First one, the section was to rearrange the words into the correct order. And you should have had number 1. It's very simple. Should meeting soon, we have sometime. All right? And that should have rearranged into should we have a meeting sometime soon. Question 2 again was very similar. Time like would at what you meet to becomes what time would you like to meet? Okay, so you get the idea of what we should be doing here. I'll go through the rest of the answers now very quickly. Question 3, does next Thursday sound great? Question 4, yes, that would be fine. Question 5, I look forward to meeting you then. And the last one, question 6, let's have a meeting before next weekend. Okay, continuing with Part 1, Lesson 1.1, the second set of questions involved listening to a dialogue. We were testing your listening skills and you should have been able to identify the following. Number 1, how about Tuesday at 9 o'clock? So about was the missing word. Number 2, I'm sorry, I won't be able to make it. Make was the missing word that you were listening out for. Number 3, how do our jobs for next week look? How do our jobs? Jobs is the missing word you were looking for. Number 4, it's settled then. I'll meet you on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Meet was the word you were looking for. Number 5, so what idea do you have in mind? 2 words to look out for there, idea and have. Question 6, similarly, would 6:30 p.m. suit you? Suit you, and suit was the missing word that we're looking for. Number 7, I'm open to suggestions, open being the missing word. Takes us on to number 8, okay? I very much look forward to meeting the rest of the team. I very much look forward to meeting the rest of the team. Very much is the word you're looking for. And finally, number 9, let's leave next Wednesday, 9 p.m. for meetings. 9 p.m. is the missing word that you're looking for. Finally, there is a number 10. We are able to schedule a time to meet for next week. Schedule. Now, one small point here. If you're English like I am, you will say schedule. But if you're American, then you will say schedule. Schedule. Notice the difference in pronunciation. Okay, on to section 1.2. Okay, let's continue with section 1.2 where we're talking more about a chairperson's duties. Okay, question number 1. Always finish a meeting on time even if a decision hasn't been made yet. No, that's something we would not do. So the correct answer there would be false. F for false. Okay? We'd take the meeting to its natural conclusion if time allowed. There are occasions when time is of an essence, people have to catch trains, etc., in which case we'd probably finish. But in most cases, you would carry on until you've finished all the decisions that need to be made. Question number 2. Follow the agenda of the meeting and don't allow the discussion to go on to a different area. This is true. Very often people will try to hijack a meeting to talk about a topic that they want to discuss that's important to them. But as chairperson, it's your meeting. You decide what is said, and more importantly, you decide what is not said. Remember, it's always possible, if it's something good that the suggester has come up with, you can put it in any other business at the end of the meeting. Okay, question 3. Ask everyone to contribute something to the discussion, even if some of the people in the meeting don't want to. Now this is false. You cannot force people to say something. In every meeting, there will always be people who are the kind of people who want to be the center of attention. They have something to say about everything, even when they've got nothing worth saying. Equally, there are always people in a meeting who are what we call wallflowers. They sit back, they listen, they don't say much. They're the people that usually have the most knowledge. They've been there the longest. It's good to try and encourage them to talk, but don't force the issue. Takes us on to number 4. Let the most confident person control and dominate the meeting because naturally they will always have the best ideas. No, that's false. They always have the biggest mouth. And we should always remember in meetings that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And we should listen twice as much as we speak. It's always a good one to remember. Takes us on to number 5. Stop people in the meeting from interrupting each other. Yes, very, very good. And there are ways to stop interruptions. If someone's starting to argue, a very, very good one is to just hold up your hand, smile, and just tell the person, no, let's talk about that later, okay? Let David speak. It's his turn. We will come back to you in a moment. David, where were you? That would be how you would control a loud person who's trying to make a rude interruption. Number 6, refrain from being frustrated at a meeting. Yes, you never want to lose your temper or lose your composure. You always want to be calm, collected, firm and confident, but without being aggressive and angry. We've all met the aggressive and angry person in every meeting. There's usually at least one. Continuing with the questions from section 1.2, which was a dialogue section where we had to select the correct words that from listening and then fill in the missing spaces. Okay, question number 1. It's a pleasure to meet you again. May I ask how you are? Meet and how are the missing words from number 1. I'm fine, thank you. And how about you? That was the line for number 2. We were looking for missing words fine and how about you? Part 3, I'm fine as well. Thank you for asking. Fine, we use a word an awful lot. It could mean a great many things. We always say I'm fine even when we're not feeling very well. Number 4, have you met my friend, George Smith? Met was who we were looking for there. And number 5, hello, George. Pleased to meet you. Missing words pleased and meet. On to number 6. Allow me to introduce you to my other friend, Jason Shepherd. Jason, how do you do? I'm Frank. Missing words in number 6 were allow and to introduce. And the missing words in number 7, Jason, how do you do? I'm Frank. Number 8, it's great to meet you today. The words that were missing, great and today. Hopefully you got those. And wrapping up this section, number 9, hi, how were the meetings today? Missing words that we should have found, how and the meetings. Okay, on to the next section. The next section was where we had to match 2 parts of sentences. We had numbers 1 through 6, and we had letters A through F. And it should have gone something like this. Number 1, how long goes with A, B, C, D, or E, or F. Now we've chose E, so it's how long have you worked here? How long have you worked here? So number 1 should have been E for echo. Number 2, which motel? Which motel links up nicely with part A? Which motel are you staying at? So which motel? Letter A. Number 3, is this? You should have identified D. Is this the first meeting you've been to? The first meeting you've been to. And number 4, are you? Should have linked nicely with the name, Jason Rocks. Are you Jason Rocks? And when we're asking a question, don't forget we use a rising tone. Are you Jason Rocks? A rising tone indicates a question. Even if it's only one word, a question like, okay, the rising tone is a question. An answer might be yes, or may even be okay. A falling tone indicates an answer. On to number 5. Did you meet? Now we look through all the options there. Did you meet my friend Jacob? Part C. So number 5 is C. And wrapping up this section, which bus terminal? Well, we should have had only one left, and that's B. Which bus terminal did you take? I hope you found all the answers. Let's move on to the next section. The next section was conversational reading, where we had a multiple choice. We had question 1, when at a meeting, what should you do while a speaker is talking? Well, some of the other classes we've talked about active listening and various different things. Here we had A, read your cell phone. Alas, most people do. You should have turned off your phone when going into the meeting, of course. Part B, interrupt the speaker. No, you shouldn't interrupt the speaker. The speaker will have indicated at the beginning of his talk that he will probably take questions at the end of the speech. If he wants interruptions during the speech, he will have said so right at the beginning. Answer C is the one we should have looked for. Listen patiently, okay? We listen carefully, maybe make notes through the meeting. If we have a question, write the question down as you're listening, so at the end of the speech, you can give that question to the speaker at that point. We shouldn't make loud noises for no reason, and we shouldn't do A, B, C, and D all together. We should just listen attentively to the speaker. On to question number 2. What is the term for a written record of what occurred at a meeting? Now, we had a few choices. We had meeting papers, agenda, minutes, schedule, and all of the above. Well, we're looking for the name of a written record, so it can't be E. The one we're looking for is the minutes. The minutes of a meeting are, it's a chronological ordered event sheet whereby all the things that have been decided are recorded at the end of the meeting. And remember, the first part of an agenda for the next meeting will be to agree the decisions that were made in this meeting. So on every agenda, the first thing you come across, agree the minutes of the previous meeting to make sure there has been no mistakes. Remember, he who writes the minutes writes history. Once you've written it down and once it's been verified as correct, there's no way back. Number 3, if someone at a meeting is shy or unusually quiet, which one of the following questions will be most appropriate for our leader to use to encourage that person to talk? We could say, you should talk more, but that would be very rude and probably make the person be silent for the rest of the meeting. We could say, why are you so quiet? Which again would be very invasive, not something you would say to a person if you wanted to encourage them to speak. Far better to say, how do you think we could solve this problem? And in this case, part B, it would be a good idea to use that person's name. How do you think we can solve this problem, Kevin? Would be a good way to get his attention. And also, as soon as you say the name Kevin, everybody looks at Kevin. It does add a little bit of pressure. Okay, question number 4. When starting a meeting, as a chairperson, you should always do what? Is it A, make everyone feel uncomfortable? Well, that's the last thing we want at any meeting. Is it C, talk about things not on the agenda? No, absolutely not. Although in the small talk at the beginning of the meeting, before people sit down, things are often talked about, whether it's the weather, whether it's how the trains are running. There are many things within small talk. We'll come to that in the small talk section. What we should do is have everyone introduce themselves. 2 main reasons for this. 1, it allows everybody to contribute something to the meeting right from the very beginning. And secondly, it allows the meeting to settle down. Everybody starts to realize, hey, this is the meeting. We're in the meeting now. We should be in the meeting frame of mind. Phones off, brains on. On to the next part, number 5, the number of persons who must be present at meetings to pass valid motions. Now, in order to answer this question, you've got to know what a motion is. At a meeting, someone will make a suggestion. Sometimes the boss will exert his power as a boss and say, no, 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 we're not doing that. But very often in meetings, people take these decisions based on a majority. If most people think it's a good idea, then the decision will be carried. If they don't think it's a good idea, then they will not vote for that thing. Now, we have some choosing to do. We have a ballot, we have a battalion, we have the floor, or we have the word that we want, a quorum, a quorum, a Q-U-R-R-U-M. Now, if we decide that the quorum of the meeting is 5 people, we invite 10 people and 5 represents a quorum. If only 4 people turn up at that meeting, then any decisions that they make are not valid because not enough people were at the meeting. We have not formed a quorum of people that we need to make that a successful meeting. Okay, doesn't mean we don't talk about the things, it just means the decisions will have to be taken again at a later date. On to question number 6. The best word to describe something agreed by everyone is, answer C, unanimous. Unanimous. It's not motioned, it's not passed, it's not voted. Unanimous means everybody. Part 7. If you're a chairperson of a meeting and want to end on time, what should you not do to make this happen? Well, part A says, have you and your colleagues reach a decision within a timely fashion? Well, we've got to finish at 4 o'clock. Come on, guys, we've got to decide. Not the best way to get the discussion in the right frame of mind. Let a discussion not related with a meeting run on unnecessarily. That's the one that we don't want to happen, all right? Let a discussion not related with a meeting run on. So we're having a meeting to talk about the completion of a project. But David's spending a lot of time telling about his new car and how great it is. We want to kill that conversation and focus back onto the topic in hand. Question 8, a proposal that is formally put before a meeting. Now we have choices. We have a motion, a confirmation, a vote, bottles, or all of the above. Now, when a proposal is put forward in a formal meeting setting, one person usually raises a hand and says, I would like to propose a motion that, and then the motion is given. The chairperson will say, do we have a seconder? Because for every motion that is put forward, someone has to stand up and says, yes, I second that motion. I think it's a good idea. We then put that motion to the vote, and on a show of hands or ballot paper maybe, that motion will either be carried or defeated based on the majority decision. Okay? In the case of it's 50-50, the chairperson, who normally doesn't vote, will have the casting vote. The casting vote is the final vote that makes the decision. Okay, that takes us on to 1.3, and we were looking to complete the sentences, checking the words indicated in red to make sure that they were correct. Usually there was something not quite right, whether it's the wrong tense, whether it's the wrong word, and we need to correct them. So let's run through these together. Number 1, Electronic Heart Inc.'s market share has decreased in size in the last few months. We're talking about the last few months, we're talking past tense. We should be using the word decreased. Decreased. We need to add a D. Question 2, we're looking for a new PR manager for our company. Look is the present tense. We want to be talking in the present continuous, so we should be looking for the word looking, looking, I-N-G. That's the gerund of the verb. It's what we're doing right now over a period of time. Number 3, these meetings are a regular occurrence. We'd like to have them more often. Is there anything wrong with that? No, there isn't. It's absolutely fine. Have is the correct word to use. Number 4, the number of workers increased 1 month ago. 1 month ago again is in the past tense, so we want to use the word increased. Increased. Number 5, the amount of money we spent on this budget go down this year. should have been, the amount of money we spent on this budget should have been went down, okay? Number of meetings we had this year has risen sharply. Is there anything wrong with that one? Well, risen should be, yes, it should be risen. That's absolutely right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the participle of the verb, has risen. Number 7, over the period 2012 to 2014, the number of inquiries has fallen. We want to use the past participle there, has fallen over that period. And number 8, complaints will decline this year. We think, well, decline is the perfect word to use, will decline. Future tense, will makes it future, decline, we just use the present tense, simply the verb itself, the base form. And number 9, our revenues this year remained stable. We want to use the past tense there, remained, okay? So even though we're talking about this year, we use the past tense because this year started in the past, and we're talking about from the past to this date, okay? That's it for this section. On to the next one. On to the final section of 1.3, and in actual fact, the final section of this unit. We're putting the words in the right order, and we'll go through these fairly quickly because this starter session has been quite simple. You should have found these, I hope, very simple. Number 1, time much office, he in the spends too. Very simply, he spends too much time in the office. He spends too much time in the office. Number 2, need we time this talk to about more? Very quickly, we need time to talk about this more. Or better still, we need more time to talk about this. We need more time to talk about this. Number 3, saying more or that staff should you hire? Should be, are you saying that we should hire more staff? Are you saying that we should hire more staff? Now it's a yes-no answer, so it's a very simple question to ask. It's a closed question. Number 4, right, will you to back come? Right, will you to back come? You should have rearranged that. We'll come right back to you. We'll come right back to you. Number 5, go sure ahead, very simply, sure, go ahead. Remember to pause after the word sure. Sure, go ahead. If you're writing that down, sure, comma. Remember, a comma means pause and breathe. If you see a period, breathe. Punctuation tells us how to say words, and the words themselves tell us what to say. On to number 6. Please moment, hold A on. Should have been, please hold on a moment. Okay, and finally number 7, in can come I. Very simple, can I come in? Usually people won't answer you, they'll just use their hand and gesture, yes, come forward. Okay, great. That's it for now.